What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Still my birthday. I went to the movies. I saw How to Train Your Dragon, the live action movie, and I returned because I wanted to do a video. I actually want to do two, but I'm only going to be able to do one. The other one I need to study a little bit more because it's about a very famous speaker that I'm not gonna reveal the name of his, who spoke to an artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence allegedly went back in history to look at the real human history. And it said some really wild shit. Like, for example, that civilizations have been existing for the last at least 198,000 years. We've been reset at least 13 times. The last reset we had, according to this AI, was Atlantis. And this AI apparently knew a lot of information about Atlantis. And I just got to study a little bit more and see where that information was retrieved from, what type of documents this person fed this AI. So it's going to be a lot of studying before I do a video about this, but it connects with some of the work that Bob Grenier has been doing. It connects with the breathing work that my mom did with me when I was dying, when I had my near death experience, and she saved me through breathing. It connects with that. So it is ancient knowledge, according to this AI, that we forget, and that every few thousand years we get a chance to remember it. But greed and thirst for power and weaponization of this knowledge is the reason why these resets apparently happen. And this includes the pole shifts. Yeah. So I'm going to look into it. I'm going to see if it's legit. And I will do a video for you guys, hopefully tomorrow. But for now, I got a little two clips from my colleague, and I would like to say he's a friend. We've had some really friendly exchanges in the past. We even shared a Twitter space once. It's someone that I really admire from this space, someone who covers this topic honestly and who's always had the best vibes. I'm talking about Andy Grillen from That UFO Podcast. He's had everyone on. People really respect him because he's earned it. He's covered the topic honestly and without a bias, I would say, but also knowing that something is happening. There's something real happening. So you might imagine why I was surprised that Tim Phillips from AARO, former AARO, actually spoke to Andy in an interview. And it was a surprisingly good interview. Well, I'm not surprised because Andy is a great interviewer. What I don't know is how honest Phillips was. I think Andy can suss that out pretty quickly, and he didn't seem bothered in any way. So I'm guessing he thinks Tim Phillips was being honest. And there are a couple of clips that I want to show you that really surprised me because Tim Phillips was also with Mick West, who is famously known as a debunker. And there were some really interesting tidbits he did with Mick West as well. One of the most interesting ones was that people in Congress from the UAP caucus who were trying to get access to a lot of this stuff, it was initially thought that they were denied by the Senate or by the presidency or by AARO themselves. And according to Phillips, that's not the case. According to Phillips, the UAP caucus was denied access to a lot of this stuff by Congress itself, their higher ups in Congress. That's what Tim Phillips is saying from AARO. And I know that there's no trust in AARO amongst people who want the truth out. And I know that, for example, the interview he did with Stephen Greenstreet, it was highly questioned because there seems to be an idea that combined with the Wall Street Journal article and whatever Stephen Greenstreet did, those quotes from Sean Kirkpatrick, there seems to be an idea that there's this a disinformation campaign going on. And based on what Tim Phillips spoke with Andy about, I'm not so sure that is entirely the case, because I see that Tim Phillips, in the last interview he did with Stephen Greenstreet, he mentioned black triangles. He said that they don't know what they are. He mentioned 40 cases of orbs, metallic and luminous orbs, that they can't identify. So that's a former AARO official acknowledging that AARO is not able to identify some of these cases and that the black triangles really puzzle him. That was a step in the right direction, in my opinion, because there seems to be like a sea change going on. But today, there was even more. And now I don't know what to think. I'm being honest with you guys. I don't know if Tim Phillips is just as curious as we are, and that's why he's making the rounds right now. If that's the case, welcome. I say he had inside information in there. We still don't know if he's completely telling the truth. I know that there's a lot of people that are not going to believe what he says. Just remember, he's no longer working at AARO. We don't know what his allegiance is. As far as we know, he may still be working for whoever hired him at AARO, or maybe not. But let me show you what he said, just so you know, and let me know what you think. So, shout out to UAP James, as always. He's been killing it with forever with the clips. He writes, new former Pentagon UFO office director says UAP may be interdimensional. What? We don't know everything about this phenomenon. What? Is Tim Phillips now on our side, seeking truth as we are? This is an honest question, guys. And honestly, whenever I see gut reactions saying, "Oh, that's bullshit," or not trusting the guy, even though he's already in 3 different interviews saying stuff that is very interesting and intriguing, I know that there's a lot of people that still don't trust him and that are still going to try to bring him down. And I don't know if I line up with whatever these people want to do, because if he was honest enough to go with Andy on That UFO Podcast, who is one of the most honest researchers and podcasters in the UFO topic that I know, who I admire, I don't know if he's lying. Maybe he's just as curious as we are, just as I said. But let's continue the quote. He says, I think there's dimensions beyond the physical world that we live in today. I believe that in different dimensions, the rules of physics as we understand them may not apply. There could be a dimensionality to these incidents that we don't understand. And I'm going to play it for you guys right now.
I think there's dimensions beyond the physical world that we live in today. I believe that in different dimensions, the rules of physics as we understand them may not apply. So there could be a dimensionality to some of these incidents that we don't understand. And the things we use to try to detect, measure and observe won't work, because they're operating with a different set of physics. I don't know. I haven't witnessed that. It could explain some of the cases. These people see things, they believe them. If I wasn't curious and I wasn't honest enough to say, look, I don't know, I'm not I wouldn't have been the right person to serve as the deputy and the acting director there. I think we have to have a little bit of humility that we don't know everything about this phenomenon.
That's wild, man. Kudos to Andy for getting this quote out of him. But he doesn't seem too difficult to get a quote out of, because, yeah, I think he's just as curious as we are. I don't know about Kirkpatrick, though. Kirkpatrick did seem to not be truthful a couple of times. But Phillips, other than when he lashed out on LinkedIn against David Grush, other than that, everything I've seen from him in these interviews has been positive in my experience and in my opinion. And I'm sure that Andy feels kind of the same way. He feels that Phillips was honest. So make of that what you will. But I'm going to give you just one more quote that I found brilliant, because Tim Phillips has been studying other researchers who have been studying the phenomenon and getting data. And one of the strongest suits, one of the strongest arms in the UFO research community is citizen scientists. And I had a couple of them recently, the Tedesco brothers. And to my surprise, Tim Phillips is praising the Tedescos. But this opens up a new debate, in my opinion, because I've seen the Skywatcher team not being very open with the stuff they do. And I've seen some of them having connections with some of these aerospace companies. And I've seen them not calling on citizens who are clearly very, very experienced in psionics and data collection, like the Tedesco brothers. They've only been like, oh, yeah, the Tedescos are cool, but we're doing our own thing. And the Tedescos quickly picked up on that, and they're disappointed at that because they feel like there's some kind of competition going on. And we've heard Jake Barber saying that they want to keep their secret sauce of the dog whistle that they have, whatever that means. And I've also seen, for example, I was in a live stream with James Yandoli and Ryan from Post Disclosure World and Vinny from Disclosure Team. And we had a wonderful conversation. And I noticed that, James is one of the most experienced psionic assets, I would say, in the world, because he's been doing it and practicing the human initiated contact experience for over a decade now, I think. And Skywatcher did not call on him for anything. And I don't even know if they have acknowledged people like him. And now that I'm seeing Timothy Phillips acknowledging the Tedescos, there is a debate there. Why is Skywatcher being so secretive? And there are some other questions that arise with Skywatcher because, yes, they're funded privately, but if they're doing a service for humanity, it kind of strikes me as they feel like they're doing us a favor, and they're not the only group trying to do this. They even admitted that themselves. So I don't know. It's just really strange because it feels like whoever is funding Skywatcher wants to stay anonymous. And I mean, that's okay, but you got to understand that people ask these questions. And if you are doing such paradigm shifting stuff, you got to be more transparent than you are. And you are not being transparent. And let's just hear what Tim Phillips said about the Tedesco brothers and their work.
I actively look for special interest groups that had the knowledge and invested time, their expertise, and money to understand this phenomenon. There were groups I thought that did excellent academic peer-reviewed science on some of these cases. Matter of fact, some of their tools we adopted. The idea for a mobile ISR sensor platform actually came from a group of scientists who were working out in Long Island, New York, where they had a RV that they fitted with sensors and recording devices. We were looking out there in Long Island Sound. AARO had a system called the Grillen, which took 40-foot maritime containers, these shipping containers, to move around on heavy lift to get somewhere. And the idea of having an agile, very responsive mobile platform with those types of sensors on board that we could drive to a site relatively quickly to begin the investigation of the UAP incident. Kind of stole that from the scientists in New York. I thought we read their book. We thought it was a great plan. We actually looked at the sensors.
So yeah, clearly he's talking about the Tedesco brothers, and I agree. They are doing really impressive work, and the sensors they have are like thousands of dollars worth of equipment that not many people have in the world. So yeah, I am not surprised that AARO saw what they were doing and they were impressed, because I was too, and everybody who sees their work is impressed. So shout out to the Tedesco brothers. But let me know what you think about this interview, and I'm gonna leave both in the description, the one he did with Andy and the one he did with Mick West, just so you see what they talk about, what they discuss, and let me know if you find something fishy in the comments. And let me know what you think about him talking about interdimensionality and acknowledging, like, really head on that there are some things about this phenomenon that we don't understand. Tim Phillips seems just as curious as anybody, I would say. And what do you think about him talking about the Tedesco brothers without naming them? But who else is doing that science in Long Island? It's just them, really. So I'm guessing it's them. I'm pretty sure 99% it's them. Let me know. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do to help us. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to help us in any other way, there's a few links down there you can take a pick from. You can become a member on the channel, or you can support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Tim Phillips. Always. Bye.